Hello, and thank you for joining today's scene. I'm Elijah Smith-Ayton, one of BFI Film Academy's Young Programmers, and today I'll be speaking to Claudio and Maisanda about the short film REBIRTH, which is the winner of the Best Experimental Film Award, supported by Black Dog Films, at this year's Future Film Festival. In this powerful film, a vibrant London descends into chaos following a community loss, through striking slow-motion imagery that evokes postmodern Renaissance paintings. They capture a haunting yet beautiful portrait of urban revival. This audience favourite deservedly won Best Experimental Film. I'm really excited to delve into it. So, hi guys, how are you?
I'm good,
Doing
thank you.
good.
How are you?
I'm all good. I'm excited to talk about the film. Really, I mean, it was really good. It was very deserving of the award. I was very happy when it did win. So,
Thank you.
to start off, tell us about Rebirth and how you sort of came up with the film's story, its idea.
Rebirth started. It was in my final year of uni, and it was supposed to be like a graduation project, but didn't have any time. Didn't have any time to do it. But it was basically off a trip that me and my friends did when we went to Rome. And we went to the Vatican City. I went to the Sistine Chapel and saw all these amazing paintings. And our second AD, Zach, who wasn't the second AD at the time, he was like, "What's our Renaissance?" And we were like, 2011 London riots was our Renaissance. And from there, we got the motivation and the inspiration of that trip to come back to London, tell Joel all the news, and show him all the pictures and this idea that we wanted to create as a fashion editorial for a magazine with receiving loads of no's and loads of yeses and loads of test shoots as well, which was the fun part of it, trying to figure out and experimenting exactly what Rebirth would be, because I think it was originally called like the New Renaissance or some sort like that. Um, and like for like months, me and Joel were just going back and forth, trying to make this sort of shoot come to life, you know? But Joel, what'd you say?
Given that we had a sort of editorial in mind already, when it came to thinking of how we, then create a story that would sort of help, not just deliver that visual style, but deliver a sort of narrative that the audience could follow and something that would motivate the movement, motivate this sort of space that we were creating, especially with our influences of Renaissance art. It kind of just came down to, again, funny enough, meetings wasn't it within the BFI's like NFT one space. We had a bunch of different meetings there, just racking our brains together, myself, Joel, and also Teddy Skinner, who was also my co-writer in all of this. And we kind of just wanted to, throughout all of this, go back and look at how we sort of grew up, look back at our place and where we were at that particular age in 2011. Um, and that kind of sort of in a how do I word it? In a way, helped us sort of look back and at the general experience of all of it, but kind of it led us to cling to the idea of the innocence of youth within a sort of point of turmoil, and also through that we kind of wanted to play on the sort of naivety of not necessarily knowing what's going on around you, but still being taken aback and having to behold that once what you knew as home suddenly descending into something that you no longer understand anymore.
What sort of stuck out there for me is that sort of you talk about that feeling like when you was in your youth and the influence on the London riots during your youth. And I think what sort of research in the film, I noticed in your Indiegogo campaign that you sort of describe Rebirth as unfolding like panels from a graphic novel. So was like were graphic novels and comics were they a part of your youth, and how did that inspiration sort of inspire your planning for your shots, your transitions? And was there like sort of any like comic or graphic novel work which influenced that creative process?
Yeah, literally, there was in my youth, back in like 2009, I used to get the bus from school home, And before I went home, I used to I used to go to the library, sit in the library and read DC Teen Titan comics all the time. Like I don't know why. I just used to do that before I stopped to the house, and I was like, I'm gonna stop at the library because it's still open. And obviously, telling your parents that you're going to the library before you go in your house is 5 stars, isn't it? So I used to read comics all the time. Used to watch loads of films with my mum as well. I went to watch Batman Begins with her, and I watched Superman Returns with her as well. So this was like these are like pinnacle hero stuff and X-Men, you know. But there was tons of references that came from graphic novels, like especially the Watchmen. They have like an introduction scene where basically like a lot of the main references actually come from the Watchmen introduction scene of just having this like moment in time that happens all the time where the war is over and they're taking pictures and they have this sort of Renaissance style um visuals in the beginning of the Watchmen, which is so sick. A lot of it is visual effects. So that's what we didn't have as much in Rebirth, but we tried to do it really practical in a way to give us this sort of kind of effect. And funny enough, um, I was on the Rebirth letterbox and someone put down, this reminds me of Zack Snyder. And I was like, damn, like someone kind of got it straight away. But yeah, a lot of it came from graphic novels, came from like a BBC advert for EastEnders Who Killed Lucy Bill, which is like one of the main references as well as the Watchmen. We had stuff like Attack the Block.
I guess you could also draw parallels to a sort of particular storyline and addition within the DC comic book series called that shares the name of our film as well, Rebirth. Again, that speaks to a sort of Renaissance inspired comic book run that happened. But I guess, as you could probably tell, we had so many references swirling around, particularly to the visual style of what we wanted to create, and kind of helped us sort of decipher what our particular story would at least look like, narrative aside. And it kind of gave us a bit of assurance that even though, what Zack Schneider was able to accomplish on his, sort of big, budget level, it kind of gave us at least a bit of assurance that it was still possible to create ourselves, even if it was just us and our sort of production team based in Newham. Um, with a budget that doesn't necessarily compare, but I mean, we're all super passionate about making this thing come to life. And yeah, thankfully we were capable.
As you talk about those references, each one, I'm like, oh, I see that, I see that. Like, I love DC, I love Teen Titans, I love those old Zack Snyder films, and that Lucy Bill advert. Now you say it, it is quite similar in how it's shot, and I remember that sort of terrifying me when I was younger. I just see all of it. I really get those references, but I think as well, there's that close similarity with Zack Snyder. I think whenever Zack Snyder, especially use slow motion and these very high quality shots, I think he contrasts it with like big heavy music. While in Rebirth, the soundtrack's quite ambient. It's not in your face. It's not overwhelming. It really contrasts with like the urban realism shown in the film. And it just takes you in a whole different place. So, what influenced that approach to the music and sound design in Rebirth?
Fortunately, within our I guess network and within our sort of family, we have I mean, I guess we're really lucky to have so many other talented people around us that can lend their skills to the project. Specifically, um, Sam Howard Brown, who's a childhood friend of Joel, close friend of ours, but also was an integral part of the production in terms of allowing us to film within his home. Um, Coincidentally, also is someone who's super talented at music production. And in that sense, he was able to bring on board Oscar Gamashian, who's equally as talented. So it helped to have two people on the direction side of things, two people on the music composition. And I guess when it came to creating the score, it was a really nice moment of obviously having all the footage back, but then being able to go to uh, sort of production space outside of London, and to kind of then look back at the footage and then kind of compose the score live to the footage, and to kind of think about how we can bring things together in terms of, you know, developing a motif that could appear at certain moments to speak to, again, the core themes. Hopefully that I'm keeping track of, you know, the sort of explanation. But within Rebirth, one thing that we really wanted to come across was the idea that the white flowers, specifically white lilies, symbolize the grief that these our heroes are carrying around with them as a response to, you know, the tragedy and loss that has arrived in the story. And in that sense, you also see that sort of cherub-like figure appear. And so we wanted to, within the soundtrack, something that people may have noticed, we wanted to, you know, kind of make the composition move and make deliver a sort of sonic motif whenever you see the cherub arrive, a sort of like I'm not too well versed in musical terms, but a sort of high pitched note does appear every time you see the cherub, specifically up on the balcony, and also when he appears towards the end of the film. It was a nice situation when we were kind of just able to show them the visuals as a sort of impetus for them to go on and draw together their sort of influences that they had, particularly something that Oscar and Sam were into is I think it's called Fourth World music. So that's by John Hassel and Brian Eno, I think. So very much early ambient styles that they kind of, I guess, you know, correctly understood would help sort of create this sort of chamber, I guess, make the film feel a bit more experiential rather than, you know, just something that we did want to avoid in terms of just making it feel like a music video. We did want it to be this sort of something to be experienced, something to be witnessed.
I 100% feel that. I mean, it definitely does not read as a music video. Like the music is a perfect sort of companion piece to the visuals. It lines up so well. It really flows along with the storyline as well. But I kind of want to go back to um, how you talk about how this film was sort of based from your youth and the experience of the London riots. How do I like delve into the locations and where you shot it? So, was this shot in places you associate in London with like your youth or places you grew up? Like where did you shoot it? And what was the process of shooting it in those areas?
Yeah, we shot this. We shot this. These were pivotal places that were in our youth. Like the shot that the heroes come running out of was mine and Sam's local corner shop, which is across our primary school. So this is where we'll get our sweets. Or like when the riots clash together, that's the route that I take to my dad's old house, you know, or my cousin's house. The subway they're going to, that's the subway towards the local McDonald's, but that's on my way from my dad's house to my mum's house, you know. And these were places, especially the house that we use is Sam's house. Sam's mum owns that house, and it was also our unit base. We also made bits of the soundtrack there, and I thought it was best to shoot in Newham because I understood exactly where we were and where we were going, and I wanted to make sure that people could see how beautiful it was to me, you know, and push it off. And back to my childhood again was like with the riots, I wasn't even in London when the riots happened. I was actually in Essex at my cousin's house. And I was telling the story how basically me, my cousins, and my sister decided to get ready when we saw everybody running out and all this stuff like that. And my auntie said if any of us get ready to go out, we're never allowed back in. So we sat back indoors and we stayed on our Blackberries, you know. We had to make sure that even though it was set in London but shot in Newham, we had to make sure that in terms of marketing or props, we knew exactly what year we were in. So including the comic books, we had barbecue ribs Walkers, which are not in the shops anymore until I saw it the other day, which is crazy. Um, we had blackberries on set for what they're texting each other. And in the marketing, we have more online on our Instagram page. We show the text messages between the heroes on BBM on how they're reacting and making definitions to what ping means and finding case studies to exactly what was happening and why Blackberries were the most used phone during the 2011 London riot. So all this stuff was super important, including the trainers and like how main heroes wearing Nike Shocks, and stuff like that. And some of them are wearing 95s, Try so there's little Easter eggs there where you don't really know what time it's actually set unless we tell you or what day and year. But there's small stuff that makes it combined.
I love that sort of immersion straight into the past. It must feel quite rewarding to win Best Experimental Film at Future Film Festival, which congratulations, by the way.
Very much.
So how does it feel to win the award first of all, but also how does it feel to win after all that, that maybe like trauma might be the right word, but that experience of the riots and trying to show that in your film.
I think the something that in all the films that we make, we always try to appropriate our community the best way we can, and especially how the London riots was was really tragic, and a lot of people lost shops, lives were lost, and obviously Mark Duggan passing away during this time had people actually go out and protest, and it gets lost in translation about some people did it for fun because 100 other people are doing it. But really and truly, what was really going on was that people were mourning, you know, and this is what we were showing the heroes doing, and and that's why they run out the stores with flowers because they're mourning, they're heartbroken and they feel a type of way, and they need to do something. And everybody knows someone that knows somebody, and that's who the little boy plays. He plays every single person watching this film because they knew someone or someone knew somebody that was out on TV doing something for either a good cause or a bad cause. And for us to finally finish this amazing festival run at the BFI where we even made the comic book and also made our shot list and breakdowns is so rewarding because personally I felt that it felt that Rebirth. I might have just been in my head that Rebirth might have been getting shunned just for what the story is, you know. We just wanted to make sure that the film wasn't trying to show this tragicness, but also show you about this new life that could be made from all this bad stuff that have happened, And and the BFI, that's the best of the best, you know what I mean? Like that's the best of the best. Like I'd retire if I wanted to, but it's very grateful to get that recognition. Um and just yeah, and it's the BFI. So yeah, thank you again. Thank you to the programmers. But Joel, yeah, I'll pass it to you.
Similarly, I mean, I have to, speak to the gratitude that we have for this sort of being like a sort of, again, a moment of recognition for the work that we put in, but also grateful that a story like this was chosen. Again, as story writers and directors, it's kind of our position to sort of, especially from a narrative that's very much tied to an experience that we've lived through. It was important to tell our story, and it was important to use this position to, I guess, in a sense, reclaim the narrative. Again, not just through the boys' position of naivety and trying to understand all of this, but again, we wanted to be sort of symbolic and to create something allegorical, touching on the 2011 London riots, but also the fact that the 2011 London riots weren't the first instance like this in Black British history. Something that I'd also been watching previously, prior to even us getting to the point of making this film, was obviously the Small Axe series, that also touches on, again, Black British struggles. And in that sense, we kind of wanted, in creating Rebirth, it kind of made sense for us to kind of be allegorical and to show the ways in which, even though we've grounded it in, again, that experience of 2011, we wanted it to also speak to the sort of stunning impact of loss, of grief, of loss of the sudden loss of a Black man's life in a community, and the ripples and effects that then come as a result of that. But then also to, in terms of us sort of, you know, finding the right position for the narrative we wanted to deliver, it put us in a position where we could also be symbolic and speak to the way in which, again, the white flowers, the grief that all of our protagonists are holding within their hearts, and the grief that sort of sows itself into communities, also allows people as a collective to kind of come together through the shared understanding of this grief and what they've gone through, and to then think about, you know, from this position of understanding that they've now arrived at, think about where to move to next, and how, you know, now that they are united, you know, sadly, from a position of grief, they are still united, isn't it? And that's a sort of unity that kind of comes from, I guess, growing through this pain. And yeah, again, it's a blessing that we were able to share this story and have it, you know, shown on a stage like the BFI. But more so, we just really hope that audiences take that particular message from it, even though through the experience of Rebirth, it might feel like this sort of, how do I word it, this sort of experimental sort of experience that you're sort of, you might not always, you might not immediately understand from the first watch. We kind of wanted to construct it in a way that, you know, through watching the film, through, you know, having conversations with us, you know, and us letting you also speak to the story from our experiences of it. Yeah, we kind of feel blessed to even be able to sort of create this moment around it that speaks again to, you know, the reality of you know, Black British history. So yeah, thank you.
I mean, I think it was a very popular at Future Film Festival. I mean, a lot of us were very happy watching it. I mean, the programmers ourselves were very happy with even in the festival. It was just a very popular film, very well rewarded. But what I noticed from the other filmmakers I spoke to at Future Film Festival, a lot of them said their perception of their own work changed having it on the big screen in NFT one. So watching Rebirth on the big screen, did it sort of alter your view of the film, or did the audience reaction maybe like alter your view in good or maybe a bad way? You know.
Well, I was gonna joke and say that it sort of altered my heart rate.
Yeah.
It being on the big screen and again being in a room full of, you know, wonderful but you know, wonderful strangers. And you know, you kind of don't necessarily know. I mean, I guess at this sort of emerging stage, you know, you hear a lot about imposter syndrome, and you hear a lot about. I mean, doubt is a thing that exists within us all, but it was a pleasant surprise to hear and feel the sort of energy of the room, and we're grateful to the people, like I just said, the people that were able to receive the story well. And yeah, I feel like after that first watch, the nerves did subside a bit, and we were able to be like, oh, okay, this is. I mean, yeah, able to enjoy the good feeling and the appreciation of it. Yeah, and I'll pass it over to Joelle.
Yeah, same thing. Like I the sound, and the sound was incredible. Like it was the perfect sound. We were sitting in good seats, you know. And yeah, it was the one thing that I always do is like I don't like when I'm watching it, like I didn't want people to know that it was our film in a way. So I was like really trying to keep my cool because I wanted to see people's reactions and see if someone's gonna like it or hate it. But it was interesting to see that, to see everybody's reaction because there were so many films that were showing as well. So I felt like Rebirth was changing this pace of the rest of the programming right after because it's a really intense film. And I it was the reactions after from other filmmakers just being like, oh my gosh, like Rebirth was such a great film, or like 2 days, 3 days after, someone's like, I'm still thinking about it. Like I just can't stop thinking about it. And it was honestly one of the best compliments ever, really, for it to have that impact.
I mean, I think a great also reward of the film was the win. I mean, again, I can say it 500 times, but honestly, congratulations on winning. And with the award, you get 1,500 cash prize and mentorship from Black Dog Films who support the award. So, how do you plan to use that support? You know, that's a lot of help coming your way. So,
I think how we plan is to just keep learning from these guys, especially who Black Dogs are. Um, and like we'd already done our research on who they were as well. So it's just like I felt like it was the perfect match for us man there and Black Dogs and us RSA to just come entwine together. And with the money, we're probably just gonna like revamp UMB as a whole, um, and start to figure out how we can manage ourselves and prepare ourselves for the year or so. So yeah,
It's a wonderful opportunity to embark on this sort of next chapter of, again, kind of bridging from being emerging talent to, I mean, I want to, I still want to keep humble, but, whatever comes next after that, again, like Joel said, um, we're super grateful for this opportunity to then, grow even further from, this position that I mean, we're only just still experiencing the win of it all, but, moving on also, I feel like the next or the best plan of action is to just throw every crazy idea that we have at Black Dog and see, what they like the sound of.
going on to like this next step of your journey, I mean, you still might feel like emerging young filmmakers, which you are, you know, to be fair. But you've been rewarded so well, people recognize as talent. So, what advice would you give to other young filmmakers who are just starting out in the industry, who haven't released a film yet, who haven't won an award yet, or anything?
do it, do it, do it. And the Future Film Festival is set at a very good price. Um, and don't be afraid to do it if you have nothing. And always remember a good director is only a good director with a good team. So your team makes everybody in there really good. So find people that you know that are good at something in film and let them know that they are good at it and figure out how you can put a team together.
Again, similar to what Joel said, and to sort of touch on our experience of all of this, going through the whole process of making Rebirth, having to find funding where we could, throw a party to get more funding. Me ending up DJing at the party, having to shoot in 2 days, two marathons on the second day of shooting, rain pouring down, and going through that whole stressful experience of it all. We didn't even necessarily have a concrete plan in place, during that time of where we'd send the film out to or what festival we'd apply to. But the main reason I say all of that is that, like Joel said, just throw yourself at this creative idea that you have, throw every fiber of your being into it being into making it as beautiful as it is in your head. And uh, I guess from that point, once you've kind of, I don't want to say killed yourself making it, but once you've once you're tired and stressed out from all of it, at least you will have made it, and at least it will be done and it will be ready. And then from that point, I guess it almost is like a sort of one last extra step of sending it out to the BFI Future Film Festival, or wherever you want to see that film be screened, you know, if it's a story that you're passionate about. One thing that we ended up doing was kind of collaborating with a sort of local community um, uh, organization within Newham. And again, very different from NFT One, but it was just a nice opportunity to get our friends around, family and friends, and to let them see the film that you've made. Because, you know, whether or not you get an award for it or a nomination for it, um, I feel like one thing that you will enjoy is just sharing this story. I feel like art exists as this form of communication anyway. And I feel like, yeah, just be able to, you know, if you can find a position where you can, you know, share it out. And yeah, I feel like that's the beautiful thing about cinema that we're able to enjoy.
Just a big shout out to our producers, Amasuka Miller, for putting their heart out, as well as us filmmakers. And um, another shout out to Rosie Howard Brown, who was the the dog that was protecting all the equipment at our unit base in the house. And another shout out to Natasha and Adam, who were young filmmakers that we onboarded to join us on the crew for the 2 days, and as well as the 2 days post-production to figure out who in this film crew they would want to be. So just giving them our experience to other filmmakers when we have the opportunity to open doors to our younger selves. So yeah.
So, FFF is done. You've won your awards. You got your support. What's happening next? You know, you show at Rebirth at Future Film Festival. Do you have any more plans for future films or festival opportunities?
We got some cool stuff coming up um, that we'll probably be talking to Black Dog about. It'll be good to get some nice professional help and mentoring. But it's really all exciting, really exciting.
Yeah, overall, having gone through this sort of process now and thankfully coming out of it alive, we feel ready to go on and embrace a new challenge, whether that's a campaign here or a music video here or another narrative piece. This whole experience of the festival has been so rewarding for us in the sense that we just want to take this momentum and keep it going, as we, you know, as we are still emerging in this space, but also um, you're only really going to get anywhere through growth, and that's what we're looking forward to. And yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy what comes next.
So, thank you, Joel and Joel, for speaking with me today. And again, once again, many times, congratulations for winning Best Experimental Film, supported by Black Dog Films. So we'll be continuing our season of Future Film Festival winners with young programmer Oshan, talking with Shu Chi Lee about the compelling film Over There. In the meantime, be sure to watch Rebirth on the BFI YouTube channel. And thank you for joining us. I hope to see you soon.